Leaders are born. Get ready for high-energy stories, game-changing strategies, and the relentless pursuit of success. In each episode, we dissect the art of sealing the deal, celebrate triumphs, and explore the grit that defines salesmanship. This is the ultimate podcast for sales warriors ready to conquer the business battlefield. All right, what's going on? Welcome back to Community with Closers here Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Have an amazing guest for you guys today. Super pumped about it. But again, just wanted to, let you guys know of all the cool things we got going on. Remember, next month, we got some cool sponsors coming in and we want to give away some fun things. So make sure you tune in, share out the podcast. You can check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. And so without further ado, I got Elena on. What is up, Elena? How are you doing today?
Hi, long time no see. I'm doing really well.
Yes. So I've been excited. I've been waiting for this podcast, no joke, because you are just a dynamite in the entrepreneurial space and what you got going on. Love watching. We actually got to hang out at the coffee shop. Where was that? I don't even remember. It's been crazy.
It was in Vegas. And then didn't we have ice cream in Orlando?
Yep, that's right.
Everyone? Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, all around food and drinks, always.
Always. It's always a good time. But I want to dive in, Elena, with what you got going on, kind of like mention some of your brands that you're doing and like franchising and what you got going on, if you don't mind kicking it off with that.
Yeah, I got a lot going on and that's partially why I have a cold today, I think. But I have Superb Maids. It's a cleaning company, and we are licensing it nationwide. We have 17 locations currently.
Yes.
And growing. And then we have American Security Screens, which is offshoot of Boss Security Screens, which I also run. And we're licensing that. That's a fantastic product. Anywhere where there's lots of money next to no money, also hurricanes and crime, that's a good product for. So we've been growing like a wildfire as well. We are currently expanded to Houston, based out of Vegas, but we expanded to Houston and Atlanta, and currently opening up Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and LA.
Wow.
And I also do coaching as my favorite gig. So we coached together for Conquer, which was amazing. And then this year I started doing my own coaching.
Love it. Just pouring in, changing lives across the country.
Yeah.
I love it. So I want to talk about, because growth is like hard, right? So if we're going to kind of pivot a little bit, and we're going to talk about sales. So don't worry. Everybody's like, I want to know what Elena's secret is, right? So, I want to pivot just a little bit, and let's talk about that, because I know with licensing, when I licensed PPW before I sold it, getting up to 10 locations, like it's hard work. You got a lot of support you got to give. So what did that look like? I mean, from the sales aspect, obviously putting your name out there, putting your brand out there, but blessing somebody with your brand and giving them the systems. What did that look like for you?
Well, I think for me, you always want to, I'm the kind of person who's an optimist and wants to give everybody an opportunity. So obviously if somebody approaches you and is asking for that opportunity, as long as they have the right values that match with my values, right? And so we can work together, we can identify with each other. And also they have a lot of firepower and they want to, reach their American dream. And I believe that by far having a small business, especially a home service business, it's one of the best things you can do. It's one of the best vehicles to achieve that American dream.
Yes.
So that's how it all kind of arose for me.
I love that. Yeah. And blessing people, because that's kind of where your start came from, right? Is home services.
Correct. Yeah. Still is. That's my field.
Yes. I love it too, because that's the same thing for me. It's been an amazing journey, blessed us, right? And now we're able to, with our hiccups and our hard road, right? We're able to bless somebody else with our stories.
Yeah.
So with the expansion, right, with your brands, did you, as it grew, I know you kind of came in. So were you putting key players in place for the sales for those companies?
They're structured differently. So maid service, it's a bit different because it's a recurring revenue model, and there's no like sales team per se. Nobody goes out. You just have admin who are closing people over the phone. So in a way, they're inbound sales reps, right?
Yep.
And then for security screens industry, you have legit salespeople who go out there because the ticket price allows you to feed salespeople and keep them very healthy and happy and thriving. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. And like, I mean, security is huge. And I've seen that brand. I love that brand, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
But like to see that grow and like going out there. So what does that look like structure wise? I know it's a huge need, right?
Yeah.
But it's a bigger ticket. It's, safety. So somebody's like, we got high crime in our area. I would imagine you're positioning it, like such, right? With your
Yes.
pitch book, however you're doing it. So when we're talking about home sales, what kind of systems have you put in or, leveraged in that space?
Yeah, so a big part of our industry in particular, but also a lot of other home service industries, is the educating the client, warming up that lead. Because I think, like, say, I don't even know if a lot of people know about pressure washing and what's all involved. Like soft washing, it's still its own beast. I think most consumers don't know a lot about it. They kind of sort
Yeah.
of know, but not really. But certainly a lot of consumers don't know about security screens, not enough. They don't understand how security works. They don't understand the difference between a
Mm,
Home Depot door that could be breached in with two like hammer blows and the proper
yeah.
security, right? So educating them in their best interest is what makes the biggest difference for us. Like we're like their teachers, we're their like helpers. We're not just there to sell them something.
I love that. And that goes for any sale, right? Is like you got to be there to serve the client at a high level, educate them, and have a process to do it because, when I looked at it, and you probably have done the same thing, is like put your shoes in their, or your feet in their shoes, right? Where you're like they're drinking out of a fire hose. They don't know the material of the screen. They don't know, if it's going to fit. Like what are these parameters that you need? And so education is I think pivotal on that with your CRM, whether you're going to do it on digitally or a flip book, the old school flip book, but however you're going to do it, right?
Yeah, we do it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And then so you go into the space, and I think this is key too, because you go into the space and you're like, I do it all. Like, don't just do some of it, like do it all and then track the success from it, you know?
Correct.
Now, when you were going in there, and I got to ask some of these questions, of course.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the most crucial aspects of sales that business owners often overlook? And I know when you're doing coaching too, you're coaching what, 7 figures, 8 figure
Yes.
plus,
Yeah.
owners. I love that. So, what are some of those things that are overlooked?
The number one thing that is being overlooked is that it's the sales are not about you. The
Mm,
sales are about them. What is it that they need? A lot of times, one of the crucial mistakes I see people making and businesses are making over and over, they think about is like how they need to sell something. They need to sell this, they sell the product, they think about the pay, they think about the metrics or whatever. They don't care so much, or maybe they care, but they're not focused. They're lost the sight of
mm,
what's the most important thing, which is you're there for that customer, for their need, for their pain, for their fear, right? For their joy. You're not there for you.
yeah.
That's not how sales work, right? So that's the most important thing.
Love that. Yeah, because you get lost in it. And I think, salespeople, like you're saying, they start thinking about themselves, right? And how they would do it. And they overlook that. So I
Yeah.
love that. All right. So could you share a memorable sales success story from your career that taught you a valuable lesson?
Yeah. Well, the number one story would be it's not even a story, it's what I was telling myself for many years that I'm terrible at sales. I'm going to be bad at sales. So I'm never going to even go into business. And that's one of my biggest
Oh,
regrets. I actually don't have any regrets in life besides that, right? So I believe we learn from any experience. I've had some horrible experiences in my life,
sure.
and I know you had some tough times too, which is fine, which is what made us who we are today.
Yeah.
But I do regret wasting time and not getting into business and working for someone else, making someone else wealthier for decades, right?
Uh,
So, and that's part of my story. I was telling myself I'm bad at sales. I don't know what I'm doing. And actually, no, I'm good at sales. Turns out that was all bullshit, right? So that's like the main thing. Another thing is, I think once you have confidence that you are not just selling something, but you're giving something
mhm.
to someone else of value, of great value, and if you're confident in that, the sales will come. People, if you can communicate that well, people will pay you money. And one of the stories I remember, I was when we first started cleaning company and we already started delivering massive value to our clients. I went to a meeting with one of the top like elite property management agencies in the city, right? And it's very competitive in Vegas, and it's a national company, and the local branch is very wealthy. And so they started telling me like, what can you do this, like we know your reputation is very good, but can you do like work after hours? We're like, no, we're probably not a good fit for you. And then they're saying like, okay, that's fine, like maybe we'll make it work. Like, could you like could we like pay you by check 30 or 60 days after service? I'm like, no, we take credit cards and we get paid like as soon as the job is done. So we went through the whole cycle, and I was thinking like, I knew that probably I'm going to lose that sale because I insisted on our own terms, the terms that make our business efficient and deliver to give us ability to deliver value. But I insisted, and they agreed to everything. They're still our client to this day, right?
Bam.
They paid on our terms. But what it did, and the lesson it taught me is that there's a reason why I held on to those terms. It's because those terms allow us to take care of us, of our people, deliver great value, great service, right? If I start compromising, cutting costs, taking bad payment terms, taking bad hours, then I'll do a bad job, and then I won't be able to deliver great value and won't be able to sell it. So that was a pretty interesting lesson for me.
That is huge. Oh my word. And it spoke to me because I know in the very beginning, like you said, I felt like I was it was just head junk, right? You get this head junk, and I was like, I'm a bad salesperson. I was always the nice guy because it wasn't my terms. It was like whatever the customer needed. I was like, oh yeah, we can do payments. Right. And and at that time I didn't have a big team either. Right. It was just me, maybe one or two guys. And what a disservice I did for myself, for my business, right? Because it wasn't functioning the way I designed it to do it. And it's like when people, even in the exterior cleaning industry, whatever industry you're in, if you're doing it and you're like, well, just run it through me, right? Not through the office, it turns into a nightmare. Correct. And it's like, no, follow your principles, follow your processes, because then you can serve the client at a high level. They will, and you can't be afraid to adopt your principles, right? They'll be like, yeah, if that's the way you do it, that's the way you do it. End of story. Yep. And they'll get that better service. So that's huge. Wow. I love that. So in a competitive market, how can businesses differentiate themselves and win more sales?
Well, my advice to that is don't be a commodity. Be in a whole different category. The way I explain to our licensees, let's say in the cleaning business, I'm like, don't forget that we're not in the business of selling clean toilets. Anybody can clean a toilet. Even monkey can clean a toilet, right? Yeah. So what we sell is love. We sell joy. We sell peace of mind. We sell like stress-free environment. It's a lot more. And I think if you're competing in that category, think about who else is here. Pretty much no one, right? No one is here, like only us. So that's why it's like easier to compete in that way, as opposed to you here with everybody else selling a commodity.
Yes, that's huge. Oh my word. It's funny because I had a sales meeting last week actually talking about that. If you go and you literally get quotes from other companies, you realize that you are doing, the top tier white glove, top shelf service because you're trying to be better. And, I think, in the exterior cleaning industry, I do see that people are wearing the same shirts. Like they're starting to do the same things.
Same, yeah.
But competition is good because you're always raising the bar. And if you're thinking exactly what you're thinking is like, no, we're going to do this because it's the customer experience. Right. If anybody can pressure wash a house, right? Yes. Like you're saying. It's like, what else are you doing to add the value and value stack, right? Josh Latimer talks about that a lot. Yes, it's like value stack that thing for the customer so you can charge a premium, and then it's leaving a taste in their mouth that will last a long time. I don't know about you, so I got to ask this question. When people spend more money, they last longer and they're happier. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. You get way better customers.
Yes.
Raise your prices.
I know. It's always like for me anyway, if you go and you do a job for like less than $500, it always turns into a nightmare. Those people are like the pickiest people ever, right? They're going to nitpick and you're like, I was only here for $500. What do you want? Right.
Yeah.
Whereas
Horrible.
if it's a $5,000 job, you're like, be picky, right? I want my customers to be picky because that's what we're here for.
And they're usually not even picky at that point, you know?
That's exactly right. And that is so true, where they're like, I trust you, you're good to go, right?
Because that's how they got to the point where they can afford $5,000 job. It's not by being picky and hard ass.
Exactly. Yep. And so with that being said, right, with those customers and you tailored your company that way, what do you instill in your people, right? Like I talked about the sales meeting. What do you instill in your people to deliver on that message?
I think, a big part of it is just selecting the right, the hiring salespeople correctly. I might be wrong, but I think I cannot take somebody who's very weak as a salesperson, and I'm not patient enough or skilled enough to turn them into a rock star. So I don't subscribe to that. I'd rather go for a shortcut, and at least for the security screens industry, and just take somebody who's already really good, like a rock star themselves, and just equip them with whatever they need, because everybody has their own style. There's a reason why genius salespeople are genius salespeople. None of them are the same. They're all kind of different. They have different flavors. So I can't really pigeonhole them, say, this is the script you got to use. This is what you got to say. This is how you got to walk. Like I let you kind of unleash them, right? And support them.
Yep.
But you just find the best ones, find the way to motivate them, keep them happy. I call them like my unicorns. They have to be like having like rainbows shining up their ass, right? It's just like they have to be like super happy and sparkly. Otherwise, if they're sad, they don't sell, right? So like
That's
my
right.
job is to pick the best ones and then give them the maximum amount of support, not pigeonhole them, not stress them out, and just unleash them, right? So
I love that. Yeah. Because that's what you don't have the time, right? Like training costs a lot of money and time.
And our leads are expensive. Like in our industry, leads are extremely expensive. So how many leads can I afford to give to someone who cannot sell?
Yeah.
Not many.
100%. It's funny you say that because like when I started getting into sales reps, like you got young guys, they're like, I want to make $120,000. And obviously an exterior cleaning, right? Like you got to work your butt off. It might take three years, but it's like out the gate, man, love you, but you're not going to make $120,000. And I'm not trying to put my self-limiting beliefs on them, but the reality, the numbers, right, don't lie.
Correct.
And so I show them the numbers. And a lot of times that unicorn, they bring the numbers to me. Like they're asking me, they're drilling me on, what's my ADL? What's my closing ratio? What's my average ticket? And they're like, boom, 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 hit me down the list. And I'm like,
that's the one.
yep, I'm excited inside now, right?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
it's funny because, I had Sales Boost a few years back, but with that, I have a system, but like you said, it's the support, like just follow kind of like this trail, if you will, and then we'll give you all the support to build a bigger, better house. And you just got to go do it.
Yep.
Love that. So how can businesses effectively nurture and maintain long-term customer relationships?
You got to communicate very well, because I think clients don't appreciate if you just kind of take their money and then disappear. So you have to stay in touch and keep it like almost like friend-like. I think my best sales team members, they can become your best friend in 5 minutes or less. And they genuinely care about you. Yes, they have a lot of clients, but they do care. So if you text them or call them, they're going to pick up their phone. They're going to call you back. They're going to check in on you, right? So that's probably the most effective way. And the other way is like deliver massive value to them. Because like the salesperson is only like half the horse, right? Just selling the product. We also got to deliver. And that by itself delivers, creates that relationship and the bond. Because once they see our product on their house, they love it. They look at it every day. And that by itself keeps that relationship going.
Yes. Now I'm going to ask you to drop a couple nuggets. So with that fostering, right, is there certain tools that you use to maybe touch the different customers, send them things? What are you doing to nurture those customers through like resources?
I've actually been playing with that a lot, down to the point where just stalking the customers, on some of my best customers, and like giving them custom gifts or something that they actually care, like if they love cats, something cat related and all that. It's very labor intensive, but
Yeah.
I can't say that I got like a massive ROI. But I think just like what seemed to have the biggest like ROI to me is that's also very expensive for me, which is my time. Like me talking to them, meeting with them, paying
Yeah.
attention to them, right? Like that creates a bond
Mhm.
beyond what could be experienced. So if you don't have in our industry, we have a lot of clients, we have hundreds of clients, but some clients are more clients than others. They have massive amount of referrals, they have huge tickets, they have multiple properties, right? So if you can at least nurture your key relationships, maybe they don't have massive amount of orders, but they have a vast network and they keep supporting your business somehow.
Mhm.
Well, take them out for coffee, or for tea or something. Like invest your time. To
Yeah.
me, that seemed to have the biggest return compared to, say, sending like in Superb Maids, for example, we have like tens of thousands of clients, right? So I cannot go take them out all for coffee, but I can
Yeah.
send them a newsletter and I can write them in a way as if I was writing for my best friend. And that tool for that is MailChimp. Right? So
Yep.
my tip. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Simplicity scales, right?
Yes.
But I love that. So when we had our sales team, and that's exactly it. It was like, how do you do that? How do you love up on your customers? And so we gave them cards, and they were like little Visa cards, and they had $100 a week on them. So we had 7 reps, and they would go out with $700 every week. And it was a little bit of an expense, but the ROI came back because the customers were happier, right? We were taking them out, for fun things. It might have been Top Golf, it might have been coffee,
Yeah.
or a quick lunch, right? Just to like, hey, how's it going? How'd the cleaning go? And this might be even your commercial clients. I would do that every year with our commercial clients. I would call them, and I would personally do it on the commercial side. And I would say, hey, how did we do last year? And be honest, brutally honest, right? Like, where did we fail and how can we do better the next year? And that was a game changer because they were like, nobody's done that before. So
Yeah. I
little
used to do
things.
that too, but I think eventually you grow kind of like further and further away. There's management and stuff between you and that level. Yeah.
Yes, it is tough. It is for sure. I know that with the managers and getting the managers to do what you did, right?
They
Um,
don't feel it the same way as we do.
this is true. You hope they do, right? You hope they still call their customers
They
for
don't.
sure. We started doing videos too. So we would videotape them and then we would do a MailChimp thing to them. Like, hey, how's it going in accounting? Like, this is Audrey in the office. And so little things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. We do that.
So what are some common challenges business owners face when it comes to their sales teams and how can they address them?
Yeah, I actually took notes on that question. Number one challenge is baby birds, which is like a lot of times salespeople, they just open their mouth like this and then wait for you to enter like leads. They
Feed
don't,
me.
yeah, they're not gonna like work the leads themselves. They're not gonna even do follow up. And I think that's okay. That's how industry works a lot of times. But I just hate that. I believe that salespeople are some of the smartest people
Mhm.
typically around. They're very capable, but they kind of like treated like rock stars, which they are, right? So they can become a little entitled. So baby birds is what I call problem number one. Number two problem that I see a lot with my coaching clients is when the math is not mathing. You kind of like referred to that earlier, which is if the ticket is too low,
Mhm.
there's not enough margin there to sustain either your business, or your salesperson, or both. So when people tell me, especially in pressure washing, not everybody has your tickets, right? So somebody who's like, say, in Midwest area and they just got started, their tickets could be like $300, and they're like, Elena, like, I want to have a salesperson. What do you think? I'm like, well, show me the math. Right? Show me
Yep.
the math. Like what's the percentage you're gonna pay them for you to remain profitable? And if you pay them percentage, can they actually pay their damn bills that month, right? And if that's sustainable, don't tell me like hope and dreams. That tell me like today, straight
Yeah.
up, like you spending this on marketing. This is how many estimates they're gonna have. Can they pay their bills or not? If the answer is no, don't do it. You're not ready. You're not there
Yep.
yet, right? So that's the second mistake. And the third mistake is on the other flip side of it. Let's say the company is like a security screens company, for instance. We're busy. There's a ton of leads. People are running around. It's crazy. And salespeople, because they're under a lot of pressure and they're highly motivated, they can sell something occasionally below the pricing threshold, below our profitability threshold, right?
Oh, okay.
So because they get paid on the top line, they don't care what your profit is, so they can actually sell you into the ground, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of like a big problem, but it's fixable. If you say like,
Yep.
hey, this is your floor price floor. If you sell below it, the difference get deducted from your commission. That solves it like this.
Yeah. They won't do that again. You're like, wait,
They
taking
don't.
money right out of their pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I had to learn that the hard way because we had a sales rep. You know, I moved from a lead tech position because your first sales rep is like the hardest. And you learn so much as a manager, as a sales manager, with exactly what you're saying. It's like, where is the floor? Do you know? Right. And if you don't know, you don't know until it hurts. And you're like, wait a minute, we're not making any freaking money.
Yeah.
And so
Common
I did
problem.
that same exact thing. And then we had to, you know, the job costing calculator. And then we started getting really transparent with our numbers to our sales rep. And they're like, oh, because they don't know. Like they don't know what they don't know either. If they're selling the job and then they discount it more than your floor, exactly what you're saying.
Yep.
It's crucial to know your numbers and then get those things up where you want. And if you're not selling it, right? Like if you can't do those numbers, we got to really work on that to figure out how you can, because it's possible, as we know.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. Well, we are doing good on time. So we're right at 9:00. So I like to keep these things sweet and to the point. So we just got a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
So what actionable advice would you give a business owner looking to achieve a sales breakthrough in 2024?
I would say measure important things. So you don't need to measure everything and go crazy, because marketing metrics sometimes are the toughest because they're kind of very fluid. But at least measure something that matters and measure it consistently. And then when it comes to working with a team, have consequences, good and bad, right? That's one thing. Like if they get paid no matter what, regardless of how they perform, then why should they perform better?
Yeah.
They might as well work less and perform less. It's very basic, but I see those mistakes over and over.
Yes.
So just have consequences.
I love that. And it's hard because I know for me, like when I was putting things in, I didn't want to, because I'm the nice guy, right? So it's like, you don't want to hurt them or you don't want to deduct from their check and all these things. So you're like, shoot, well, what can I do to kind of make it come back on them? If you don't mind sharing maybe one thing that you've done to hold them accountable to those numbers, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we have it's not even just the numbers, but there's, for instance, we have disciplinary system. For example, if you say like don't sell, so the way I thought about on that instance where people sell below the floor, right?
Yep.
You can have a conversation, you can show them the math, and you said, oh, sometimes they didn't know. I don't believe in that because I think they're very smart, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have a job with us. It's more like they do know, but they sort of don't care because that's not in their best interest. I notice with any team members, any employees, the understanding and the clarity arise when the minute they lose a single dollar.
Yes.
If they lose a single dollar out of their own pay, then boom, like they understand everything. Like suddenly everything is very clear. So I make sure that everything whenever there's a metric and somebody's not hitting the metric, there's a consequence, right? So even if it's like you're not going to get to the next level, if your performance is here or if it's below here, you're gonna just actually lose your job. And it's very again, like just like you're a nice guy, I'm also a nice guy, right? So what I do with that is like that's why we have metrics, because then it's not me who's a bad guy, it's the metrics. And then you have a person like HR who is just enforcing. They're supposed to enforce it kind of very neutrally. It's like it's not about love or hate. It's like, are you benefiting the business or are you hurting the business? And here's the good consequences. This is a bad consequences. And that's it. And there's no action. It's not about, don't look at me. Like I didn't do anything.
Exactly.
So, yeah. In fact, I'm a good guy. Let me help you. Like, what do you need? What gets in the way? What can I do?
It's gold. So you hit on something huge. So you guys that are watching, you take the emotion out of it. Yes. So it's not me now. I'm not the bad guy. It's, you can have a different conversation. Like you're saying, Elena, is like, I can come in on Wednesday, right? And I know, and I'm like, hey, I just noticed you're not hitting your numbers. How can I help you meet your goal so you can make the revenue you want? It's a whole different conversation when back, 10 years ago, I was like, dude, you're not hitting your numbers. You're under $5,000. You're not going to be here next week. And they're like, oh, what do you mean, Pat? Right now it's on me. And I didn't have that conversation of, no, here's your floor, right? Here's your goal. What are your goals so I can help you achieve your goal? And it's a whole different conversation. So exactly what you're saying, you got to have that accountability and take the emotion out of it. Because how many people are on this podcast, and you've talked to them, right? Where they're like, I can't hire somebody. I'm afraid to hire somebody. Or,
Yes, very common.
I don't have any systems to hire somebody. There's no accountability, right? And it's like learning and then putting those little things in is like, you have a system, and this is, you can't go below this or whatever it is, and you can't discount like this. Just put something in and alleviate that emotion out of it.
And none of it is rocket science. It's so basic. And, thanks to people like you, like the information is out there.
Yeah.
Just like listen to it and implement it. Everybody's doing the same thing and succeeding. So you're not that special. I would say that you will, you can apply the same thing and still succeed the same way as everybody else does. So just do it. You just gotta do it. I think the biggest obstacle is just us telling ourselves that we can't do it. It's too hard or whatever. Whatever other bullshit story is in our head.
Yes. That's why I would say, Goya, got to get off your ass. Just do it.
I like that. I was trying to what was it? Get off. I was trying to read it because I love that. Yes, I remember that.
Yep. Well, thanks so much, Elena, for being on. Where can anybody reach out to you, or if they're interested in your coaching program, right? They're 7 figures or above. Where can they reach out and find you?
Yeah, you can go. I'm on Instagram under Millionaire Cleaners. I have a YouTube channel. I can't remember. So, just Google my name. There's going to be a lot of stuff. I'm on Facebook. I'm everywhere. So if you can't find a way to get in touch with me, I don't think you should be coached by me, right? So, or even be in business.
Yes.
Just find
Easy enough.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, there it is. Elena, thank you again for being on. What a blast it was. You dropped some gold. We'll definitely have you on in the future because I want to know. I always say we got to find out where you're at, in 2-3 years, putting locations on all across the country.
Yeah, you and I need to talk also regarding your franchises. So that's
yes. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. We will definitely do that. Well, thank you again. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Community with Closers. Super excited you tuned in today, and have an amazing evening. We'll see you guys next week, Eastern Standard Time, right here on Community with Closers.
Awesome.
Sweet. We did it.
Yeah, you're a pro.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, look at is the Instagram Pat Clark Goya. Pat, I gotta add you then because I was developing in Russian. Now I'm doing it in English too. So
I saw that. I was looking at the Russian stuff. I was like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
But you're getting it from all over the place. And is that a whole new YouTube channel? It's the Russian one, and then there's an American one?
Yeah. So the Russian one, I get my licensees are Russian speakers. So I got, most of the sales came from. So if every licensee is 75 to 100K. So
love it.
It's worth doing the channel in Russian.
Love it.
Yeah, but now I'm doing it in English. Yeah.
Let me double check here.